Hey everybody, welcome back to, I don't know, building commander decks with dum-dums. I'm just going through some crazy deck building that I do. Trying to find interesting commanders to use, not the usual, right? We did Servandum, I've done the stationing deck, and I take a lot of, I get a lot of, crap, I can't think of the right word. I get a lot of insight, experience, thoughts from this guy. I'll put a link somewhere, but in one of the corners. Can I get my finger in the corner? One of the corner, there, or over here, or in the description below, whatever. But he's doing budget building decks, so everything's under $100. I don't really care about the price. I'm doing it with cards I have, right? So it's not optimal in a lot of cases. I built the Servandum deck. I'll do a video on that. Again, got the idea from him. Totally transparent. This one's mine though, because part of what it is getting your commander out and keeping them alive. So I think I opened this in one of my recent pack openings. You guys may not have seen it yet, but he's flying, he's got Ward 2, and you can pay it. It's a bounce commander, basically, right? So I was like, huh. So I can bounce creatures or artifacts. What kind of nonsense can I get up to? So let's go through some of the nonsense we can get up to, right? So whenever this guy enters the battlefield, you can search a library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. When he dies, you draw a card. So you bounce him every turn, every end step, you get to bring him back and get a card, so, or get a land. So that's my only ramp, I think. Well, other than the Arcane Signet, because why not, right? No lands in here yet. I haven't played this deck. I'm just playing with building it out, and would love some ideas from you guys. Again, it's all based on cards I actually physically have. So some of the other shenanigans, protection, right? So this is one of them, is permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. If this spell was cast from exile, prevent all damage, so it's kind of a fog with protection. Whenever he enters the battlefield, choose a card type. You and creatures you control have protection from a chosen card type. Now, I think I can pick, like, I don't know, creature, right? Instant, sorcery, whatever I need. So bounce it on my turn, on the end of the person's before me's turn, protect myself from instants. At the end of my step, bounce it again, protect myself from creatures. I don't know. Whenever he enters or attacks, I can pull a permanent card from mana value 3 or less from the graveyard. So I can recur a bunch of stuff, right? There's a lot of really expensive cards in here, though, so I don't know. I don't mean dollar-wise, I mean mana-wise. I don't know how many things I can pull back. This is a life gain pile. Again, when he enters, I get a energy counter. Whenever he attacks, I can pay 3, and whenever I attack, I can pay 3 and put a counter, so I can keep bouncing him and build up my energy lightly. He's the only energy guy in here, so it's probably going to be a throwaway. Whenever he or another creature enters to gain 1 life, at the beginning of end step, if I draw a card if I gain 3 life or more. The cool thing with the warp is you can warp them in, then exile them with the commander's ability, and never have to pay the main cost. So something to consider there. Minwu, lifelink, whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter. Again, a little bit of life gain. Not a major focus of this deck, obviously. I'm avoiding the interaction pile for now. Counter spells, obviously you gotta have counter spells, right? Counterspell that also draws you a card. Why not? Let's see. This guy seemed like fun. Ward again. Vigilance. Tap him and another target creature you control gains protection from card type of your choice until end turn. Again, sort of that light protection. The Extinguisher Battleship. Whenever he enters, destroy target non-creature permanent. Can blow up somebody's lands. And when this spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. So selective board wipe if you're falling behind. Destroy all creatures based on if the board gets too big and you don't like it. Just blow everything up. What the hell, right? All right. At the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control, because, you know, why not? And then untap all creatures you control when he enters the battlefield. So bounce them at the beginning of your turn, at the end of your turn. All your stuff has vigilance. More sort of my commander's dead and I need to exile stuff. At the beginning of my end step, I can exile a target creature. return under the, and then basically blink it. Same thing here, blink him again, or create a token if you want to. Same thing here. So when he enters, so you have to blink him to blink something else. It's a little squirrely, but whatever. Not sure I need Okatera's Monument. With creature spells are one less. I want something that actually reduces activated abilities. There is something in March of the Machines that I'm going to try and go digging for, which would reduce it by 1 colorless and a blue, which would make this just a white to do every turn, which would be epic. These guys are card draw. Right, so let me just organize these based on expense. Kinda there. Kinda there. Alright, so Defender, when he enters, draw a card. Enchantment, can't bounce this one, but whenever you gain life, so hence the need for life gain, pay 2, you could draw a card. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on this guy, which I was doing with that other stuff, draw a card. When this one was interesting after I reread it. Agent enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. Cool. Pay 2, tap, remove 2. You can exile another target land permanent, so you can pew other people's stuff, or your own stuff if you want to draw 2 cards. But whenever 2 or more creatures attack, it doesn't say your creatures or attack you. So just when 2 or more anybody anywhere's attack, you're going to put an oil counter on this thing. It's pretty awesome. Volo's Iterant Scholar. The text is tiny. When he enters, create Volo's Journal, a legendary colorless artifact token with hexproof. And whenever you cast a creature spell, note the creature type that hasn't been noted for this artifact. Pay 2, tap it, draw a card for each creature type, noted for target permanent you control named Volo's Journal. It's not, oh, it is a legendary. Oh, I thought it wasn't legendary. Oh, well. When he enters, draw a card. Cool thing with these is that they're 2 mana to draw a card. So you bounce them at the end of your turn, you're always going to be drawing a card. When he enters, draw a card. For each creature you control with power and with toughness greater than its power is 0. So every creature on the field is going to give you a card draw. Bounce it whenever you feel like it. You get as many cards as you feel like drawing. Whenever this creature enters, draw a card. As long as you have 1 or few cards in hand, you draw more than 1 card. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put 2 in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in any order. This is a selective tap and stun. There's one also. There's a blue one from Edge of Eternity that I should get. So bounce him, tap, stun. Right, so you can stun your opponent's commander, so he can't do anything every turn forever. And whenever you tap 1 or more untapped creatures your opponent control, you draw a card. So I get to tap you and stun you and draw a card. Only once per turn for this part. But I could tap as many as I want because I could, well, no, I can only enter him once per turn. This guy, when he leaves the battlefield, draw a card. You may put a permanent card mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand on the battlefield. Warp him in, exile him, he leaves, play a card for free. He comes back at the end of his turn, at your turn, does not exile because he's a new instance of it, and now you can basically cast a free card every turn for the number of lands you control. Pretty awesome. Now this stack, more interaction stuff. So when he enters, exile a graveyard. This thing's kind of neat because you exile people's graveyards basically under this ship. It's not exiling the whole graveyard because whenever he deals combat damage, you put a creature card exiled with him onto the battlefield under your control. So going to want to be able to make this thing hit people. It is flying, so that's helpful. When this creature enters, create 4 tokens. So again, bounce them a bunch of times, create a bunch of tokens. Whenever you attack, you can tap 4 and just soup up this guy. This one was interesting. Whenever he enters, create an artifact creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of artifacts on a creatures you control. So cast this, you get 4. Cast this, you get 1. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you can tap 5 artifacts and transform this thing, which turns it into a land, which has the same ability. So now it's safe-ish. These days, lands aren't safe. But it's now a legendary land that taps for mana, and you get this benefit. I can't bounce it anymore, which I can while it's this. So if this isn't out, I can just keep bouncing this until I have enough artifacts to convert it. When this guy enters, each opponent exile cards from their hand, and I can play that card for as long as it remains exiled. So even if I bounce this guy, it's just in an exile pile. It doesn't exile under this card like some of the other stuff does. Each spell cast this way costs 1 more to cast. Each land played this way enters tapped. When he enters the battlefield, you may have your life total become total toughness of all creatures you control. So you're hurting, you bounce him, you heal yourself based on all the creatures you own. Also, you can just add your life to him. No, that won't work. Never mind. During your turn, knights have flying. Who cares? When he enters, create a token. Cool. You can exile him and do that stuff. We all know what Bahamut does. But you could also just bounce him, right? When he enters, he creates a cat. So every time you bounce him in, he's going to create a cat. Whenever one or more cats you control die, you may exile him and convert him into a planeswalker, which we all know. Or you can look up if you don't know. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 blue. So again, this guy comes in, every non-creature spell I'm casting is going to summon a bird. Whenever you attack with one of our birds, you get to scry. Might not stay in this deck. Job select is cool because it creates a hero and then attaches to it. And I'm going to be drawing a lot of cards, hopefully, and casting non-creature spells. So I can keep putting +1/+1 counters on the creature that this artifact is on. And then bounce it and put it on another one and put more +1/+1 counters on it. Don't have proliferate in here. Might think about doing that. So now, shenanigans, right? Each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell. Not great for us unless our board's set up how we like it, and then we can be bouncing stuff because it's not technically casting, right? I can choose any number of target players, investigate X times, where X is the total number of creatures. That's basically creating X number of clue tokens. So I can, again, draw cards. Probably should be in draw cards because it's not really an interaction spell. When this enters, draw a card. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control this turn, they return a land they control to its owner's hand. So, landfall decks, die. Cyclonic Rift, everybody knows what that does. When this guy enters the battlefield, destroy 1 target non-basic land. So I basically blow up everybody's non-basic lands as I bounce this guy in and out. So I can enchant my creature and cause it to be indestructible and goaded, so everybody has to attack that creature. So, and then I can exile the enchanted creature if I want to. I can cast it on somebody else's, cast it on mine, since it's indestructible. Actually, goaded means it has to attack every turn, right? And not me. Yeah, so put it on somebody else's commander. And then if they find a way to deal with it, exile it. When this guy enters, exile artifacts with mana value 2 or less. So, tired of people's mana rocks? Get rid of them, right? At the end of my end step, I cast this, or I blink it, or at the beginning of the next guy's end step, whatever. I blink it through his turn, he's not going to have it. Blink it at the next guy's turn, he's not going to have his mana rocks, so on and so forth. When he enters, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment, so I can just boom, 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 blow up all your enchantments. All your enchantments go bye-bye. Jill, bounce something back to your hand. Bounce something of my own back to my hand if I want to. Whenever a non-token permanent leaves the battlefield, going to happen a lot, choose one that has been chosen this turn. Create a creature token with those characteristics. 2/2, 1/2, 1 blah blah, and put a +1/+1 counter on everything I control. Contagion Engine, just thought it was cool. If I'm getting overrun by tokens, I can wipe them all out, and then I can pay for, tap, and proliferate twice, which will come in handy for some of the other +1 shenanigans I've got. When he enters, return each creature your opponents control with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands I control. It's a spendy card, though. This lady, she's flash. Creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash. Each opponent can cast spells only anytime they could cast a sorcery. So get rid of all the instants in the world, or my opponent's instance. Gain control of some target creature. If it's 5 or more, I also create a token that's a copy. Search target opponent's library for a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield under your control. So go steal somebody's best creature. Return 6 things to their owner's hand. And whenever he enters the battlefield, I gain control of the target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't control, draw 3 cards. So I can just, every turn, after turn 7, every turn, bounce this guy in, and steal people's crap. So yeah, a lot of shenanigans. Again, don't know if this works at all. I haven't looked at the mana curve. Just was having fun building it. And would love your thoughts. If there's cards you think would be good in this, let me know. It doesn't mean I have them. So again, one of my criteria for deck building is I have to have the cards to build the deck with. I'm not going to go single diving. I might go to an LGS near here and try and see if they have one, or I just start cracking packs, right? Which we know I love doing. So if you like this kind of stuff, like, subscribe, follow along, and we'll see you on the next one.